Imagine a cruiser that accelerates faster than most superbikes. That's not hype. Ducati claims the brand new Diavel V4 RS can blast from 0 to 60 in just 2.43 seconds, making it the fastest accelerating production Ducati ever built. But here's the twist. This isn't a stripped-down track bike. It's a muscle cruiser with a 240mm rear tire and street-legal plates. So the question is this a game-changing Italian masterpiece or just an expensive experiment with a $39,990 price tag? Under the tank sits the same 1103cc Desmosedici Stradale V4 engine from the Panigale. It pumps out a claimed 182 horsepower at 12,250 RPM and 89 pound-feet of torque at 9,500 RPM. For comparison, the regular Diavel V4 with the Gran Turismo engine makes 168 horsepower, but peaks lower at 7,500 RPM. Ducati is clearly betting that American riders will want the thrill of revs and raw acceleration rather than just low-end punch, and this is where things get interesting against its main rivals. The Triumph Rocket 3 Storm R, for example, delivers about 180 horsepower, but a massive 166 pound-feet of torque, nearly double the Ducati's figure, and it costs around $24,995, which is about 15 grand less. Meanwhile, Harley-Davidson's Breakout 117 sits at $23,999, producing roughly 104 horsepower and 126 pound-feet of torque. Both bikes weigh significantly more than the Ducati, but they answer to different values: torque, tradition, and price. The Diavel RS fights back with lighter weight, 485 pounds wet without fuel, exotic electronics, and superbike DNA. If you enjoy frank motorcycle breakdowns like this, bikes that might just shift the American market, go ahead and hit subscribe, because there's plenty more coming your way. And stick around, because we're about to see whether Ducati's bet on superbike power in a cruiser body actually makes sense when compared to these heavy-hitting rivals. Now let's dig into what makes the Diavel V4 RS more than just a numbers headline. Ducati didn't just swap engines. They re-engineered the ride to match the performance. Up front, you've got a fully adjustable 48mm Öhlins fork, paired with an Öhlins monoshock in the rear. This is a big leap over the regular Diavel V4, which uses Marzocchi suspension. The result is sharper control and a more planted feel when you unleash all those 182 horses. Braking power comes from Brembo Stylmer calipers, biting into dual 330mm discs up front, with a Bosch cornering ABS system backing you up. Out back, a two-piston Brembo caliper handles a 265mm disc. Compare that to the Harley Breakout, which sticks with a single front disc and misses out on the same level of cornering ABS technology. In the real world, that means the Ducati offers more stopping confidence, especially for riders who push harder. And of course, Ducati didn't skimp on electronics. The RS brings in 4 riding modes: Sport, Touring, Wet, and for the first time on a Diavel, Race mode. Add to that traction control, wheelie control, power launch, and the latest Ducati QuickShift 2.0 system, and you're looking at a cruiser that behaves like a superbike under the skin. By comparison, the Rocket 3 Storm R delivers brute force with less electronic fine-tuning. You get the torque, yes, but not the same menu of rider aids. What about weight? Ducati shaved off about 7 pounds compared to the standard Diavel V4 by using carbon fiber pieces on the fenders, tank covers, and even the clutch cover. With a claimed wet weight of 485 pounds without fuel, the Diavel V4 RS is dramatically lighter than the Rocket 3 Storm R, which tips the scales around 700 pounds wet. That difference doesn't just look good on a spec sheet, it translates to agility when carving through corners or pulling away from a stoplight. And here's the big question: does all this advanced tech, carbon fiber and reduced weight justify a nearly $40,000 price tag? We'll get to that verdict. But first, let's take a look at how living with a Diavel V4 RS might actually feel compared to its rivals, from maintenance costs to everyday practicality. Owning a Diavel V4 RS isn't just about bragging rights at the stoplight. Ducati designed this bike with real-world ownership in mind, though it's clear it leans toward the exotic side. Service intervals are set at 9,000 miles for oil changes and 18,000 miles for valve adjustments, which is competitive for a high-performance V4, but still more complex, and usually more expensive than what you'd see with a Harley-Davidson. On the road, the riding experience is unique. At 33.1 inches, the seat height is taller than the Harley Breakout and even higher than the Triumph Rocket 3. For some American riders, that might feel less approachable, especially if they're used to low-slung cruisers. And while the dry clutch gives that mechanical, race-inspired feel, it also brings a bit more noise and a less forgiving takeoff compared to the smooth hydraulic clutches found on its rivals. Add in the wide 240mm rear tire, and you've got a bike that screams attitude but also demands attention in tight maneuvers. When you weigh it against the competition, the differences are clear. The Harley-Davidson Breakout 117 delivers tradition and the badge appeal of Milwaukee iron. It's cheaper, easier to service locally, and has that classic V-twin character. The Triumph Rocket 3 Storm R offers staggering torque, 166 pound-feet, dwarfing the Ducati's 89, and it does so at a price tag that leaves you with plenty of cash for upgrades or even a second bike. But neither can touch the Ducati 0 to 60 time of 2.43 seconds, the exotic materials, or the superbike level electronics. So, is the Diavel V4 RS worth $39,995? If what you want is the ultimate statement piece, the fastest accelerating Ducati ever built, packed with carbon fiber and Erlin suspension, then yes, it's a bold buy. But if value, tradition, or raw torque are your priorities, the Rocket 3 or the Breakout might make a lot more sense. And that's where I turn it over to you. Which matters more in your garage, the insane launch of a Ducati that rewrites the cruiser rulebook, or the familiar punch and character of Harley and Triumph at thousands less? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is the kind of debate that shapes what manufacturers bring to the US market. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a like, hit subscribe, and stick around, because we've got plenty more honest, no fluff reviews of the machines that define the future of motorcycling in America.